Hey guys, I'm Anime.
I'm Dave.
So in this episode of Geek World Radio, we're talking about Superman because it is the 75th anniversary of Superman.
I know, it's crazy, huh? Ever since 1938, this guy has been the biggest superhero in the world.
But in honor of Superman's 75th anniversary, we decided to take a look back at a Superman that we don't really think of today. The way that he was when he originally came out in the comic strips.
Yeah, now Superman was invented in 1933 by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, but he didn't actually come out in comic book form until 1938, Action Comics #1.
Right.
Now, when he first came out, they did showcase Krypton in the very first issue. And the way Krypton is showcased is basically everyone has superpowers.
That's right. Everyone on the planet had superpowers, and that's what happened when they reached maturity. They attained these great powers.
It's like a world of X-Men.
Pretty much. Obviously, this changed really after only about a decade.
Yeah.
But originally, that's how it was. Now, some of Superman's original powers were a lot different than the Superman we think of today. For instance, he could leap an eighth of a mile.
Whoa.
Yeah. Now, could you imagine if he couldn't fly now and all he could do was leap an eighth of a mile?
That's like halfway around one lap of a track.
Yeah.
That's
an
like
eighth of a mile.
Really lame. That's like really, I mean, it's far.
Yeah.
But it's not like impressively far for a superhero.
Well, it's not impressively far nowadays.
No.
When we think of superheroes flying.
Yeah.
But back then, when really Superman was the first real superhero.
Totally. And also, he was a real reformer back in 1938 when he came out. I mean, it was the end of the Depression. So, you know, he was taking on corrupt politicians. He was taking on people who owned factories that weren't treating their employees right, unsafe conditions. It was really funny because the whole supervillain thing didn't really start until, 39, 40 and on.
It's true. It's funny because with the New 52, they kind of tried to bring it back to that.
Yeah.
You know, with him taking on a
the
slum
1%ers.
Well, yeah, and taking on a slumlord.
Yeah.
You know, it was really back to the origins of what Superman was.
If you go to DC Comics right now and look at the bio for Superman, it literally says, like, taking on the 1%ers. I did not make this up. One of the first adventures he had was taking a guy who ran a munitions factory that was helping fund an evil government in Latin America and putting him on the front lines of the battle. He also beat up, a woman beater. I mean, he was very much like taking on real-life criminals of the day. But of course, when you got a guy who's got super strength and can jump wherever he wants, sooner or later he has to start fighting supervillains, Anime.
You know, when you say super strength, it's true. He can lift really heavy weights.
Ha!
Yeah.
That's why he's got a strongman costume on.
Not only can he raise tremendous weights, but he can run faster than an express train.
Whoa, that's impressive.
Yeah.
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 What's a train?
And nothing less than an exploding shell could hurt him.
Like a big artillery shell, you mean?
It doesn't really specify. It
I'm
just says an
assuming.
exploding shell. One of the other things that was totally not present in the original Superman was Kryptonite.
Yeah.
One of the really interesting things is that Kryptonite actually started on the radio.
Yeah, actually, 1943 this happened.
Yeah, it's actually a really interesting story, but the guy that was playing Superman on the radio, he couldn't be there.
No, he wanted a vacation.
And so they got another guy to play Superman, but Superman's voice changes and people are going to notice because it's radio, you know? And so they had to come up with a reason why Superman's voice would be different. Well, what's the reason they come up with? This thing, Kryptonite.
What else could make him sick?
Exactly. And so, hence Kryptonite, which then became a real staple of Superman's stories.
Also, on top of that, Lex Luthor was one of his first ultravillains, right? Came out in the early 1940s. But he was just a mad scientist back then. He did weird stuff like evaporate all the water on Earth.
This is kind of like Dr. Luthor.
Exactly. He also made, like, earthquake machines, and he even, like, blocked the sun from the Earth.
Like an eclipse?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Lex Luthor, when he first came on the scene in Superman, lived on a city on top of a dirigible.
Go Lex.
He literally was living on Columbia.
Yeah.
No real estate scams there. He's got a city in the sky.
Yeah, doesn't need a scam.
Exactly.
Why couldn't he have just done that in Superman Returns?
That would have been way cooler.
Seriously.
Way better. Instead, he had to sleep with an old lady to get a yacht. Congratulations.
And he wouldn't even let Cal Penn talk.
I know.
What up?
I mean, God. What a dick. It's funny because it wasn't until the late 80s when they redid Superman after Crisis on Infinite Earths, and then he became like the world's richest man. Which is funny considering in the very beginning he was fighting a bunch of rich guys.
Yeah.
And now there you go.
Was that when Superman had a mullet?
No, I'm pretty sure he had a mullet after he came back from the dead.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think you might be right.
Yeah.
Superman's costume has also changed a lot over the years.
Yeah.
In fact, the original reason that they even gave him a cape was just to show motion, which is a really interesting and was an incredibly innovative thing to do.
Siegel and Schuster were really influenced by the sci-fi pulp of the time, so the tights were meant to look like something that was sort of science fiction, futuristic, and of course the red underwear everyone knows is looking like a strong man from the time. But overall, it's maintained really the same until they rebooted the comic universe with this new 52 that goes along with the new Man of Steel, where it's actually Kryptonian armor.
Yeah, which I think is a really good way to change it, because first off, you don't need to show motion in the same kind of way as you used to. And we generally see Superman, we do see him in comic form still, but we also see him very much in action.
We grew up with the adventures of Lois and Clark, Smallville. I think a lot of people assume that Martha and Jonathan Kent were always around. Well, that's not really true. They found Superman obviously in the original comic books, but really up until the 86 reboot of Superman, they were dead.
Yeah.
They had actually died when Superman was high school age.
So all of Superman's parents were dead.
Pretty much, yeah.
Take that, Batman.
There you go, Batman, okay? You're not the only one that has pain in his heart.
Yeah.
Okay?
At least you had a butler to look after you.
And how about this, Batman? Superman lost 2 sets of parents.
That's what I'm saying.
Not just one. Dick.
And his whole planet.
Get over it, you big whiner baby.
Seriously. Oh, my parents are dead. I'm an Avenger.
He's an Avenger?
Not like an Avenger like Marvel, but like he avenges the death of his parents.
Nice. Okay, so Superman did some really messed up crap when he first started, okay? He destroyed a poor neighborhood once.
What?
Yeah, he totally destroyed a poor neighborhood. I don't know why. The guy's insane. Also, he went on a rampage and destroyed every car he could find.
What?
This is true. Clark Kent was very upset because one of his friends had died in an automotive accident.
Yeah, so and you know what? Like, it's not drivers that cause accidents, it's cars.
He decided to go around Metropolis and destroy every car he could find. There's only a panel of him lifting up a car and going, sorry if this hurts your pocketbook, but if it saves just one person, it's worth it. He also goes to the factory and destroys the car factory.
Were there any people in there?
It doesn't matter. This guy was a psychopath. The first panel of the comic book, he's destroying a bridge. They never explain it.
What?
He's just destroying a bridge. Yeah.
What?
The guy's a maniac.
It's the really funny thing of how, Superman was about, like, saving people, but at the same time had zero concern for collateral damage, and this is the origins of Superman. This is where Superman started. So, I mean, really, Man of Steel is completely accurate.
Yeah, totally. You talk about in the video the time he blew up, like, a munitions factory that was in the sky.
Yeah, that means tons of people working there in that Zeppelin munitions factory were dead.
Do you have any idea how Superman decided to thwart a bunch of evil bookies?
By sending them to jail?
That would have been a fantastic idea, but instead he decided to abduct and drug a football player and then proceed to steal his identity and play in the football game to thwart them. That's what he did. He drugged a poor innocent man.
Wait.
Thanks, Superman. Thanks.
So the football player wasn't involved, just drugged him?
Yeah. He had nothing to do with it.
Oh, man.
He just got drugged.
You
got drugged.
You got super drugged.
So also in the very beginning of Superman, obviously in the first issue was introduced Lois Lane. Now Lois Lane is probably the most iconic woman of comic books, along with Wonder Woman, obviously, who has superpowers. But it was interesting because Lois Lane was always a reporter.
Yeah.
She was never like, his girl Friday or secretary.
Yeah, I mean, that's really an innovative thing. I mean, she was the ace reporter for, I believe it was called the Daily Star in the originally.
Yeah.
But she was the ace reporter. She was a top reporter. She had a career.
But she was also incredibly mean to Clark Kent.
Yeah.
Like, insanely mean. I believe in the first issue, or in the first few issues, she calls him an unbearable, spineless coward.
Well, I mean...
That's not nice.
It's not, but you gotta think about how he played it off as Clark Kent. Not only could he not seem to, walk 5 steps without tripping, but he had to always pretend to be hiding in order to change it to Superman.
So other real quick things in the history of Superman I want to talk about. This isn't really, in the very beginning... But some great moments. In 1947, it was revealed he also had telepathy. He could put suggestions in guys' minds. Also, on top of that same issue, okay? He also could shapeshift.
Yeah.
He shapeshifted.
Yeah. These are actual powers that they gave him in issues. This is not like all of the things that it was just super because he was doing it. Like super landscaping or super weaving.
Super mathematics.
Yeah.
Super ventriloquism. He fought Muhammad Ali anime.
He put up a great fight.
The guy sneezed out a solar system.
This is true. I mean, at least it was a long dead solar system.
He died, came back as 4 different dudes.
That was when he didn't put up such a great fight.
Exactly. Then, of course, he had his mullet, like you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And, the guy, he's been married, he's been retconned.
Many times.
All kinds of wild things. But you know what? In the end of the day, he's always Superman. And that's got to count for something.
It's pretty super.
It's pretty awesome. Okay, guys, what's your favorite Superman story? Let us know in the comments down below. Either way, if you want to listen to our radio show, run every week on 8100 and The Point.
And if you want to get in touch with us, you can send us an email to geekworldradio@yahoo.com, and be sure to check out our website, geekworldradio.com.
Look up in the sky. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's just like a little bit of dust up there, actually.